Sesame Street is like the biggest thing ever. So I don't think that it comes to anyone's surprise that there would be more Sesame Street. How to start a YouTube video. I am on WikiHow right now. Hopefully they know what they're doing a bit more than I do. Say hi to viewers. Yo, what's up, viewers? Today, we are going to look at a spin-off of Sesame Street and stuff. Okay, I think I know the basics now. I'll learn a bit more later, but let's continue. In 2002, a spin-off series of Sesame Street titled Play With Me, Sesame was released on Noggin. In 1999, the channel Noggin, which was meant as a more educational Nickelodeon, began. The channel had many connections with Sesame Workshop, so a Sesame Street spin-off made sense. The series was a lot like Sesame Street, but like 10 times more interactive. The series is set up like a playdate where you play with, the characters. The Play With Me Sesame theme song is actually a redone version of an old Sesame Street song called Somebody Come and Play. And the fact that I'm just now finding this out is crazy. I went my whole life thinking that Somebody Come and Play was the Play With Me Sesame theme song and nothing else. My whole life is a lie. The four main characters of Play With Me Sesame were all well-known characters from Sesame Street. These were Grover, Prairie Dawn, Bert, and Ernie. Other characters like Cookie Monster would make appearances later on. The show was a mix of new fun games and old Sesame Street sketches. Ernie would play a game called Ernie Says, which is Simon Says, but with Ernie. And I don't blame him. Quite frankly, I think that Simon Says is actually the greatest game ever, and a great test of thinking skills. I could write a whole essay on how good the game is, quite frankly. After a game of Ernie Says, they would show a classic Sesame Street sketch, as mentioned before. And they showed some old sketches here. Like, I'm talking about stuff from the 70s. And around the time the show began. And I didn't realize how old a lot of the sketches they showed in the show were. I thought that just about all of them were from the 90s and 2000s. Nah, scratch that. Another thing that I am just now finding out is that they did not make exclusive Play With Me Sesame sketches. That's right, folks. That's what I thought. I thought that these traditional Sesame Street style sketches that they would show in Play With Me Sesame were Play With Me Sesame exclusive sketches. I am just now finding out that that was not the case at all whatsoever. These sketches were classic Sesame Street sketches, or sketches from the 90s and early 2000s, which at that time were new. My whole life is a lie. The next thing that would standardly happen in a Play With Me Sesame episode would be a showcase of kids' drawings presented by Prairie Dawn. And these are presented like an art show. And I must say, if I was on one of these as a kid, I would definitely be letting people know about it 20 years later at parties. Another segment on the show would be a matching game with Bert, where you have to finish and guess a color pattern. These would range from using everyday objects to using Bert's absolute favorite, pigeons. And these pigeons just so happen to sound evil.
Gray! Purple! Gray! Purple! Gray! Purple!
No joke, these pigeons have been haunting my dreams for the last week. Please send help. There were a lot of these sorts of segments where Bert would play on the computer. One of these would be Bert making arts with oatmeal on the computer. They got very creative with this show, but perhaps a little too creative.
Would be a piece of pizza, but hold on. Add a circle here, and another one here, and here. What's it look like to you now? An ice cream cone?
Actually, never mind. That's some good stuff. And to end off each episode, Grover and the gang would do some sort of game or something. Now, my opinion on the show is that I don't really understand its existence. I feel like it doesn't really stand out, and it just feels like a cheaper Sesame Street. And I'm not just talking about all the classic Sesame Street clips they use in this, which make up just about 40% of each episode. I understand it with the Playdate theme as to why that they would make this show, but even then, I feel like that's something they could have done as some segment on Sesame Street or something. Now, you might be thinking, I'm pretty sure some segments on Sesame Street wouldn't get that big. Elmo's World. Elmo's World, do I need to say more? And now that I think about it, Elmo's World is essentially a Playdate themed segment, so. And Elmo's World is older than Play With Me Sesame by 3 years, and Elmo's World was already pretty gosh darn successful before Play With Me Sesame even came out. But I get it, Nickelodeon and Sesame Workshop collaborated on this really cool, unique channel. Sesame Street just so happens to be Sesame Workshop's biggest show. I mean, it's in the name, Sesame Workshop, quite literally. But I feel like if they really wanted to make a Sesame Street spin-off on Noggin, I feel like there were much better ways to do it. Like, come on, give my boy Count Von Count his own show. He doesn't get nearly enough screen time. But the series did seem to get fairly popular as it lasted for 4 years. It aired for like a decade. But Noggin did eventually decide that they just didn't want it anymore, and gave it to Sprout, where it aired from 2007 to 2016 on that channel. So yeah, this series was definitely not forgotten, even if it is a bit of a forgettable series. And that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed, because there will be a lot more to come on various shows. And let me know in the comments what PBS-related content you'd like to see me cover next. And with that said, I will see you in the next video.